Hi, it's Alistair McIntyre here to Electric Scotland. I was just having some thoughts last night. It was actually as a result of going to see my doctor. I found out that in fact there was a temporary doctor in that I had to see because my doctor actually has cancer. I don't know what kind of cancer, but cancer. And she's going to be off until the new year. But apparently the prognosis is fairly good for her, so she's likely to be back maybe in February next year. But, it occurred to me, like I'm a long-term smoker. I mean, if you include second-hand smoke, I smoked all my life because my parents smoked, I still smoke today. So that's 67 years. You might say I've been smoking. That's not to say I won't have cancer, but it just occurred to me that I'm almost 14 years now in Canada, and Canada's been very vociferous in trying to eradicate smoking, and so they make it extremely difficult for you to smoke, with tons of regulations and upping the price of cigarettes and all this kind of stuff. And as this number of smokers drops steadily here in Canada, it just occurred to me that I think cases of cancer are increasing. Now, we seem to be better at fighting cancer, but the number of people getting cancer seems to be just growing all the time. And I'm beginning to wonder if this smoking thing is just a convenient prop for people, that they haven't looked past smoking. I mean, you could say that because I'm a fairly heavy smoker and I have been all my life, you think I would have had cancer by now. That's not to say I won't have cancer in the future, but nevertheless, you might say I'm in the very high risk category of getting cancer, especially lung cancer. But yet, as I say, I've never come across a time when I've heard of so many people having cancer. There's my doctor's got cancer. My friend in Toronto, she's got a son and daughter that now both have cancer, and they're working on that at the moment. But I keep hearing about friends having cancer. It seems to me women are especially vulnerable to cancer, and so I'm beginning to think there must be other reasons for people getting cancer. As I say, it seems to be increasing rather than decreasing. These are not old people that are getting cancer, it's young people are getting cancer. Mothers, fathers. Something's wrong somewhere. I also, I'm beginning, because one other thing I noticed about Canada is most people seem to have allergies in Canada. I must confess, before I came to Canada, I wasn't even aware there were allergies. You might say the only allergy I have is that if I'm going out in the car and the sun's shining, I might have a bit of a sneezing fit, but after that I'm fine, no problem. But that's the only thing I might say. But is that me having allergy to sunshine? I don't know. But it just seems to me there's huge amount of allergy drugs all over the place these days. And it seems almost everyone has an allergy of one kind or another. I don't know that that's right. And again, I'm beginning to wonder, because again, in Canada in particular, I find most people are using, Febreze, for air fresheners and Lysol and other products that keep you clean. In the old days, soap and water was all you really needed. And if something dropped on the floor, you could pick it up and eat it. There was a saying in the old days, a little bit of dirt does you good. I think you bolstered your immune system because if you got used to handling a little bit of bacteria, then it was well conditioned. So if you got some bacteria, your body knew how to fight it. But today, with all this extra cleanliness around, I'm beginning to wonder if that's the core problem. Because we're getting too clean. So And the other thing that I'm beginning to wonder about is that whether we need a new means to communicate with everyday people. Like maybe the government needs to put out a bulletin that everyone will read. Because, I mean, I talked in my last video about how the early years, up to age 4, are critical for the future development of your child. Yet how many people actually know that? Because usually they're in the serious bits of newspapers or magazines. And it seems to me most people only really read the newspapers to get the sports headlines or the celebrity chats and stuff. I don't think they ever read any, most don't read the serious stuff that's going on. And so I just think that there perhaps needs to be a way that if these early years are so important, that all parents need to know that and know how to deal with it. And maybe the parents need a 2-week course, which would be mandatory as soon as you have your first child or something like that. And both parents need to be there, and even the grandparents should be invited in, or brothers and sisters need to be invited in, so that basically the basic information can be provided to them. And if they need help, then that would be a time that they could apply proper help for a particular issue. I mean, for example, if the parents don't know how to cook, and they're not going to give you fast food to eat, they need to be helped to cook a basic meal. And so maybe they need to go to some classes to get cookery lessons. You know, it's just that, I mean, there's not going to be that many people that are going to listen to this video, let's be honest about it. So the few that do, maybe think, oh, well, maybe he's got a point, and maybe we should look into that. But, you know, we need millions of people to listen to this video, you might say. And so I think it's time that we questioned this idea that smoking causes cancer. I'm beginning to wonder if in fact that's just a red herring, and basically, because you know, over the years researchers have come out with really stupid ideas. You know, like all fat's bad for you, cholesterol's bad, but then later they found there's actually good cholesterol and bad cholesterol. But at the beginning they just said all cholesterol's bad for you, and ended up people were dying as a result of having a cholesterol-free diet. Then you know, research came out the other day that bacon's bad for you. I mean, it seems that one time or another everything you eat is bad for you. And so, you know, I'm just thinking maybe we should start questioning these researchers. As I say, my impression is there's more cancer today than there's ever been. And yet, vast majority of people don't smoke anymore. So why should cancer be increasing when they say that smoking is the major reason? I mean, they're talking about stopping smoking in parks even. Public places like parks, for Pete's sake. So, as I say, to me, more people seem to be getting cancer, more seem to be getting more and more allergies, and more people are not in a position to read or view some serious discussion on parental upbringing of children. And so I'm putting this forward for like 2018 because I'm going to maybe start to try and do some research on this and see if I can find some figures. But I just wanted to put that out to you. Think about it. You know, less and less people are smoking, yet we seem to get having more cancers. More people. And I say women, for some reason, seem to be particularly susceptible to getting a cancer of one form or another. And that should be concerning as well. So, there's the cancer idea, there's the allergies, which I'm beginning to wonder if we're just too clean. I mean, we all know dirt and grime and all that kind of stuff can cause health issues, But basically, soap and water seem to be a good way to go. But with all these chemical products coming out, like Febreze and Lysol and all of that, and when you go to hospitals now, you got the hand wash creams that you wash your hands with regularly. I mean, is that causing the allergies and the problems? Is your home too clean? Because the adverts seem to be you've got to wipe every surface in your house that people could possibly touch. But is that actually causing allergies? And as I say, the third point is getting parents good information about how to look after their kids. And I say that could be as I say, this recent research is the first 4 years of a child's life are the most critical and important years they have. But how many parents actually know that? And what does that mean? And so we've already found out that kids that are taking a bad diet with more sugar in it, are hyperactive and cause problems at school. Getting onto a decent diet, and they seem to get past all these issues and become good students. So little things like that, parents need to know that. And maybe well-educated and researched parents do know these things, but there's a lot of other parents who certainly don't know that. And they need to know that. And that's why I'm wondering if, new parents, whether they shouldn't get a special 2-week course, which would be mandatory, so that that information is actually given to them. And I wonder if there should be refresher courses in the years ahead. So maybe have a think about that. And certainly I'd love to hear your thoughts on these issues. And so, please use the comment section. And if you've got any figures or of any research being done in these areas, give me the link so I can read up. But I'm certainly going to do a bit more research myself in the new year, because I'd like to understand why we seem to be having so many issues and problems. I mean, I do know, for example, that doctors way oversubscribe. That's why the opiate crisis is here. And again, if we keep giving these drugs to combat stuff, obviously they're getting weaker as bacteria changes and evolves. So now, if you get a really serious illness, they're currently challenged to actually come up with some kind of antibiotic that will actually fight that. They call it, the super drugs aren't working anymore, basically, because we're hitting super bacteria, because bacteria is evolving. So maybe just giving people ordinary painkillers, drugs, stuff like that is actually weakening our immune system. So anyway, just my thoughts. And so, as I say, if you know any research or anything, maybe drop me a comment and let me know what you think about that. So that's cancer, allergies, and also giving better information and training to parents. So anyway, I hope you'll have a good new year, 1918, when it comes, and hopefully we might be able to figure out new ways of thinking. So thanks for listening.